I'm Sean Arnold from Brave in the Attempt, sharing a previously recorded webinar. We're going to do a deep dive into Google Docs and Drive, and especially how you can use it for remote learning. All right, so as I forge ahead, how many people I got going on that Pear Deck? Cool. Just a couple things right off the bat. Again, this is probably new. You guys are old hat. We're into week 2. For some of us, it's week 3, actually. We will forge ahead and try to do the best we can, all right? So on that note, my name is Sean Arnold. I am a District 75 special education teacher and STEM coach. I've been in District 75 for a while. Here is the most important thing you'll probably see in all my slides, that bit.ly link, which I just pasted again in the agenda. I'm sorry, not in the agenda, pasted again in the chat that will link you to the agenda. All this other stuff just means I've tried tons of different things and failed through it. Even early in my career in teaching, I realized I don't know necessarily exactly what I'm doing with these kids. Hey, let's try some musical note twister. And then they were learning things. And then I realized they don't know their right from their left. And then I got little gloves and socks and put L's on R's. You know, we adapt as we go. And that's true in physical capacities, and that's true in technological capacities. Don't feel the need that you got to be an expert in any of this. We're all learning together. You won't be, because the second you think you're an expert, they add like 15 new features. Really just be the expert in your students and understand that, yes, we're in a new world, but we probably should have been in this a while ago. The information age is done and gone. Welcome to the 4th Industrial Revolution. We forge ahead, and just let's take a moment for mindfulness always with your students, and especially for ourselves. Take that time to just check in how things are going. This is obviously going to be a stressful time for a vast array of reasons, long apart from teaching and education and your job, right? So on that note, I just want to do a little check-in for all of you who were in the Pear Deck. I need to know where we stand and that we're not alone, right, in all of this. And if you want to play while I'm doing and you get bored about what I'm talking about, feel free to play conference call bingo and see if I shout out any of these. And if I do, feel free to loudly in the chat shout out bingo, okay? And just be ready for, as we're all learning, being uncomfortable with the changes, uncomfortable with what we're doing. That's not a problem. Education is meant to function that way. Learning literally happens in those uncomfortable moments because it means you didn't know something, you're learning something new. Okay, I'm recognizing that, and that's what growth is. That's awesome. And I'm going to go through some of the stuff right off the bat. I've talked about this stuff before. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it now. Yes, in online learning, we can stay at the top of Bloom's taxonomy much more easily because we're able to do it asynchronously, the big word that means not all at the same time, not hovering over the kid's shoulder, and giving them opportunities to create and differentiate. And that's a lot of the things I'm going to show you here through Google Docs and tools, the way you can individualize and personalize learning for students. But as I was saying before, it all starts with that Maslow first. I've had and still have students who are in shelters, and while we were in buildings, yeah, it was about bringing extra snacks and clothes and stuff. And now it's about connecting them and their families to all the resources and the types of things that the city has available for them. But ultimately, let's go ahead, we move forward, connect again with your kids, reintroduce yourself, give them that time for creation, and definitely make time for mindfulness. And now is also a great time for digital citizenship. I will say Google has its own structure for digital citizenship. I've linked some of those in the agenda. That includes some fun learning games to learn about how to be safe online. So I've also linked to several social emotional learning resources that you guys can use with your kids. Get yourself connected, get them on the right track, and just knowing ultimately if you, at the end of the day, you might be struggling with PDFs versus docs versus drawings versus blah, blah, blah. If your kids know that they're cared for, your own children, your students, and that somebody's just in their corner, you're succeeding, all right? So on that note, where are you at using Google Docs, using Google Drive? Please let me know if you're inside the Pear Deck. This is basically some of what I'm seeing from you guys. A lot of middle of the road. Okay, some of you are getting more adept. We got some that need the basics. So on that note, I have linked in the agenda this whole thing that walks you through how students can do self-service and log in. You can do it for them if you find that your students aren't adept enough to log in, if their parents' language challenges or technological challenges are too much, that you need to set it up and make it easier for them. And then you can use Remind or a text message to send that out to them. For you teachers, if you want to get into Google, literally just go to Google and go ahead and sign into your account. It works with the DOE's regular account that you've used to sign into everything else. Let me go ahead and, oops, I want to click on that one. Schools.nyc.gov, got it. And let's try, for example, I'm going to go to docs.google.com. And this will work if you try to log into Classroom or anything. Here we go. If I click on that other name, it's asking me to log into sarnold2 at schools. That's my DOE account. And you log in the same way you would ever log into Gmail. It'll link you to another screen that tells you it's the DOE. And that's how you go ahead and get in. The instructions are all in this and all in the agenda as well. And on that note, let's get into Docs and Drive. So what Docs and Drive is made up of is several different tools. Drive itself, keep in mind, this is sort of like the hub when we talk about the cloud where everything is stored. That's essentially what it is. No, it's not a cloud. It's Google servers all over the world. But that's where all our stuff is going to be. Stuff like all these docs, things like actual docs, which is your word processing software, or things like slides that I'm showing you right now, or even things like forms or Google Sites. The new Google Sites are even housed there inside your Drive. And then I'm going to show you one other thing called Jamboard, which is like a shared whiteboarding space. I'll show it just briefly a little bit at the end. I will go ahead and zoom this. Yep. And as I jump forward and I do show you some of these other things, I'll make sure I zoom in my screen so you guys can see it a little bit better. As I said, Google Docs, text documents, sheets. I'm not going to spend tons of time on that, but it is a really great place for grades and formulas and things and data you're keeping on students. The only reason I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that is because I think the better place to start with that is a Google form, which basically creates automatic sheets. Forms is for surveys, quizzes, etc. It's your digital assessment piece for the most part. Not that there aren't several ways to assess students, making videos, making digital stories and Google Slides. And Google Slides isn't just for presentations either. It can do so many more things. I'll walk you through a couple. If you're not familiar, Google Drawings is also something that exists that you can embed inside a Google Doc. It is, especially for those of you who are doing regular worksheets, PDFs, and you want students to easily be able to edit those and give you information back the way they would on a regular piece of paper worksheet, and you don't want them having to deal with taking a picture of it and submitting it. Boom, Google Drawings is a nice way to do that. So let me just start demoing some stuff for you guys. I'm going to head into my Drive right here, and let's drag this over. And I'm going to zoom in to make this easier for you to see. So here I am in Drive. When you first go to Drive, it might look something like this and all the stuff you're working on. There's also this whole area called workspaces that you can create if there's things for regular classes that you're working on. Make it easy for you. It's important to note there's also a whole shared with me section. So these are things I didn't make, but other people have shared with me. That's the awesome thing about Google Tools Online. It is meant to be collaborative. It is meant to be used working together. But I'm going to go into some of my file structure. I've already created a bunch of files and folders because I get OCD about organizing stuff. But it's easy to go ahead and just search for Drive. So in your Drive, if you haven't been able to find anything, just type in, Minecraft, everything that goes with Minecraft. And it gives me these examples. If I went and hit return, it would show it all broadly across the screen. What's really neat though is that Drive isn't just for those Google tools either. It's all sorts of other things that you can store inside of it. For example, just a regular picture like this. These are filled with picture communication symbols from BoardMaker that I can use with my students who struggle with expressive language. They can store certain things like a PDF. For example, a PDF like this one. Hey, how do we transition to online learning and student learning in a digital age? It even talks about the TPAC model. And yes, we might not be experts in the technology, but we are not even necessarily experts in the content knowledge area because there are genuine scientists and mathematicians and stuff, but we can be pedagogical experts and experts in knowing our students. But that's all the different types of things you can store in here, including audio and video, like this really old school, retro kind of technology video from probably a couple decades ago, where District 75 was using virtual reality with students long before those little helmets and stuff existed that you could buy. How Drive works, I can drag anything from my desktop, anything from anywhere else inside of here, store it. That's the easiest way to put stuff in. But if that's too much, I can go ahead and click on New, create new folders, upload a file, upload a whole folder, or start with brand new documents from scratch, either blank or from a template. So any of these other types of things that Google offers, I can start Smart Learning Suite, Google Forms, etc. Create ones from scratch. Now, when they're in here, if I want to organize it, right-clicking is usually the easiest way to get access to all that stuff too. It also still gives you all the same stuff we just saw up there. Simple right-click will give you a new folder, opening up new documents. Just like with anything in Google, there's a dozen different ways to do anything. One important note though, inside of all these things that I've got, is if I choose something like this PDF and open it up, yeah, I'm just viewing it here. I can go up to this top right corner, download it, print it, add comments to it if this is somebody else's. Here's something that's very important too. Starring it so it's easier to find. Or up at the top, I can open it with any type of app that seems accessible to it. For example, Google Docs is an easy one, though it might mess some of this stuff up and move it around. If I want it to stay as a PDF, I can go ahead and connect to more apps. One that I highly recommend for PDFs, especially with younger learners, is called Kami, K-A-M-I. I have also linked that in the chat. These are things called add-ons that give us extra special powers in all of these. So if I went and opened that up with Kami, I could go ahead and start editing right on top of that PDF. But that's not my recommended solution for most of you guys, all right? So inside of here, I am also gonna just start with a regular document. Docs is usually the first one that people learn about because it is just that basic word processing software. I'm gonna open this one up about the golden ratio of faces. I note that, yeah, here's all our regular text that we would expect in a document. Okay. I've also got these weird things on the side that are comments from people, other people who are working with me, because again, this is collaborative. They're showing me that there might be errors. This I'm also noting is an error in it that maybe I should use the word alternatively. Great. Separately, if I want to go ahead and talk back to these people on the side in terms of commenting, whenever I click on a certain area, maybe I don't want to say page, maybe I want to change that to section, I can add a comment. If I want to inform a specific person who's attached to this document or somebody else, I'm going to just choose a generic person so I don't bug them. And I can say, change this to section. And that person will get an email about that change I want to make with them. So one really neat thing, because we're working collaboratively, is I can leave comments for other people. All the same other stuff that you would expect from a document that I'm not going to go through. hey, how do I change colors? How do I change font sizes? I think you guys understand that. I'm going to zoom in now, but the important thing is not the text here because we don't really care about what it says. That's not what's key in this. It's just the skills of clicking on them and where we're going. Oop, there we go. As I scroll down, I see I can add sorts of images, have them adjust, also throw in other images. I'm going to delete these for now because one of the cool things about a Google document is I can insert all types of objects and other types of materials. So inside of here, I'm going to go up here to this area that says insert. They want me to find the golden ratio for particular faces. I'm just going to go ahead and insert an image. Now I can upload it from my computer. I'm just going to search the web because I didn't have one already. So let's go ahead and find a face. Go ahead and search for that. Not Facebook, sorry. Oops, autocorrect, face. All right, maybe I like, sure, I'll take him for now. And I can, of course, resize that, adjust that as needed. Let's put it back up here. Let's say I actually wanted my own face and I have a webcam connected to my computer. I can go ahead and hit insert image. Now there's one from Drive and Photos and any that are already stored on your computer, but I can also go straight to the camera. So if I'm a student and I need to insert a picture of me, or I'm simply holding up a document that I was working on, I can go ahead and insert that as well. In addition, we can insert other types of drawings and documents using the Google Drawings tool. But let's head back for a moment and jump just through some of the basics before I show you that. Yes, I think you guys understand that I can go ahead and copy and move and print these the same as any other document. But the important thing to note is because it is online and shared, it's automatically saving. There is no save button inside of here, okay? There's no need for it. But what if somebody makes a mistake? And what if somebody changes the work that we were doing? What if I inserted this and somebody deleted all of my other work? It's fine inside of it because it's all saved. Under this file area, there's something called version history. So I can go back and see the version history. Here's today's. Oh, here's some other stuff that just got deleted. Ooh, let's go back and look at some previous versions. If I want, I can click here and name the different versions or entirely restore this version or simply take certain pieces of it like these pictures and copy and paste them into my current version. All right, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and restore this because all the new changes we made, I don't really like. So let's go back to where it was. There we go. Separately, I can go ahead and insert regular hyperlinks throughout. If you guys aren't familiar with hyperlinks, this is what makes your document more interactive, things like this. All I have to do is choose a particular word, like this one here where it says somebody else's face, and link that to the exact website I want. I can right click or I can click insert link or just use my hotkeys. Like I said, there's a ton of ways to do it. I'm actually going to link it not to a website, but to another document in my drive. There we go. So that way, when students click on that, they'll be able to go ahead and get to that link, okay? Now, one of the other keys that you should note, because it is a collaborative document, I showed you about these comments, but it's not just that. There are different modes in which you can work inside any given document. So I'm selecting a section and I'm changing my view. There's an area that says mode. Right now I'm in editing mode, which you guys are all familiar with. I make changes, I delete stuff, it changes it. I can make a suggestion mode. So The ancient Greeks had a very specific idea of what was beautiful. Maybe I don't like the word beautiful. Maybe I'm going to make a suggestion of what was an appealing face. Now it hasn't changed that. It just left in a suggestion, and other people who are working on this document with me can approve or disapprove that. They can reply and leave comments here, but why do you want this? And if they decide to approve it, there it goes. It puts it in there. In fact, if I wanted it over top of the other one, and I'll go back, I'll stay in suggestion mode, I can go ahead and delete, and it deletes that as well. So those are different types of suggestions you can make. It is a different type of mode. If you're deciding that you as the teacher or you as the collaborator don't want to make all the changes in the document, but are simply trying to add those suggestions. Again, all these other types of things can be added into it. These are simply cells where students can go ahead and enter information that make it easy. But let's say your students are struggling more and you just got a whole bunch of worksheets. Yeah, you can use picture symbols if that's the requirement, if that's what they need. But maybe all you've done is already create some worksheets. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit return, and I'm going to insert a Google drawing. Now, we can create a new one from here. I'm going to go ahead and use one that's already in my drive. And this worksheet right here, just to give you an example. I don't need it linked. And what students can do inside of Google Drawings, actually, let's open that up in Drawings. Actually, I'm going to do one from scratch just so you can see how that works. Insert new, and here we are. We're in a Google drawing. I can take any sort of image I've already got on my computer or inside of my drive. I'm going to search for a worksheet. Let's take this one. And here's how pages can work. If you've already got resources made and it's become too difficult for your students when you get a PDF, they're trying to print it out and write it on paper and take photographs. That can be a little much, especially if they don't have easy access to printers and things at home. Simply embed it inside of a Google drawing. Now those students can go ahead and get a text box, type anything that they want. They can go here to this line tool and even access the scribble tool and draw if you want them to write by hand. Let's keep drawing. Steve. And my handwriting's messy. It's probably easier on a track or on an iPad, but still it works. So they can draw, they can add all sorts of other shapes and colors and change it. I think you get those pieces, but this is a nice, easy way if you're still using paper worksheets that you've imported via PDFs, that those can live inside of your Google Doc and make it easy for students to edit. Here is the big piece though, sharing up in the top right corner. This is where many of your most important decisions inside of Google Docs and Drive are going to live. Yes, you can do that inside the drive itself. I can take a document like that, right click, and I see sharing options, or I can do it here from the doc itself. It works the same way. If I hit share, I can type individual email addresses here. Now, because it's got this little pen on the side, that means they're going to be able to edit it. Is that what we want? Well, if what we want is for them to work together with us, sure. If all we want, though, the way I've shared my agenda with you is simply for them to be able to see it, well, that's how we'll do it that way. So I'm just going to use user 2, share it with them. I can write any note. Great. Here's another way to do it, though. You can go ahead and click up here in the right and hit shareable link. And that gives you a link that you can copy and paste and share with a large group, either through email or some other method. And again, it gives you all these other options. Anyone with the link can view. Is this public? In fact, in your school or in the application that you're using, you will likely have a different default option. Your default option will probably tell you not anyone, but it'll show you that it defaults to only people in your organization or only people within the DOE. So if you want a broader range of people to be able to see it with their personal Gmails and things, make sure you adjust that and click on anyone with the link. All right. I did show you the history in that. That works across all the documents. This sharing, these comments work across all the documents. I'm going to start other ones now. Go ahead and try to keep your microphones muted if you can, though, while I do. I'm going to start showing you things like slides and forms for assessment, which is part of quizzes. Understand that all these basic tools of font editing, all these basic tools of sharing and modes exist in these other ones too. I'm not going to be going over it there because it really functions exactly the same. But as I go over to slides, I'm going to show you that there are several ways you can use something like Google Slides that doesn't have to be just a student presentation. All right. And I'm also going to show you about the magic little button called Explore. Now that Explore button works in other things as well. So inside of Docs, yes, there's this little button on the right-hand side. The Explore button lets me go ahead and search the internet for all sorts of things like the golden ratio, copy and paste and add citations to that in my text, or find images related to it, or connect into my drive. Slides does the same, but it also does another whole piece. I think you guys get how to make a basic slide deck. Yes, I can go ahead and edit and add text boxes and add all sorts of different slide types. I can go ahead and add different themes and make it pretty, change the layout. But one easy way that you can get students collaborating on a document is simply creating a slide deck. I'm going to do one that is a first page, might simply be you listing the students. And I'm only going to put a few here. Sarah, John, Carlos. Oops. And each student is actually going to have their own page. So maybe this is Sarah's page. And I'm just going to duplicate these so I don't have to do extra work and just change the names. And each kid is going to use this as sort of a portfolio where they're going to share a lot of their work with me. Now, instead of making that student search through my Google slide deck, what I'm going to use is that hyperlink function again. So I can go ahead and go to link. And yes, I can link to internet websites here and type, nearpod.com or wherever else I want to go. But I really want to just link to slides in this presentation. So I want to go ahead and link to Sarah's slide when that gets clicked on, and John's slide when that gets clicked on, and Carlos's slide when this one gets clicked on. That way, when the student clicks on each of those, it'll take them to their area. They can put in their work inside of there. What's neat about that is it also allows for all sorts of other opportunities, like choose your own adventures. So if I were to present this, right? Pack it in and head home. Nope, let's embark on an epic adventure. We're reading ahead. Let's go to the right. Let's press on. And it's just simply taking us to other slides as we're doing this story. You can have students create digital stories that way too. Also, making it easy, that Explore button. Let's say I'm doing a slide deck on George. Ooh, what just happened there? Opened up a new window. All right. I'm doing a presentation on George Washington. All right. Let's go ahead and search the web for some stuff on George Washington. That Explore button. I can go ahead and find an image. Let's add that one. Ooh, that one's interesting too. Let's add it. Now, that same Explore button that I showed you before has a new capability where now it's giving me suggestions for the layout of my page. So maybe I like this, or maybe I don't like that face being covered. So now switch it up like that. So it does give us that other choice inside of slides. Here are a couple of new features that have been added to slides that you won't find in certain other places. Yes, now I can even add audio. If you've already uploaded audio to your computer or to your Google Drive, you can just select some of that. Or it can add videos directly too. So if I'm adding a video along with charts and diagrams and all sorts of other things I think you're familiar with, I've uploaded it myself in my Google Drive. I can grab one of those videos, or maybe I don't know exactly what I want. We're doing one on George Washington. Let's see what we've got on YouTube available, linked here. Oh, sure, maybe this documentary sounds good. And now that suddenly lives live right there in my slide deck for me to be able to share with students. What's also even better about this is a 43-minute video. That's way too long for me to be putting in there for my students. So actually, I've maybe watched this before and noted that I want it to start at 10 minutes and 40 seconds and actually end at the 15 minutes and where was it? 37 seconds sound. So that way, when the students watch it, they're only getting that section of it. If you want to dig deeper into how to adjust videos and things, a site like Edpuzzle is really good for that. We have future sessions and recordings on those. Those can all be found and linked in the agenda. But slides, I want you to be aware, it gives you all sorts of other options. Even for younger learners, simple tasks like, hey, let's build a snowman, taking these and building up our snowman in other sorts of capacities. Some of these are already linked from the slide deck. You'll have access to these. Maybe our snowman has a giant candy cane, hair, etc. And then I'm just giving a short area for our younger students to write about that snowman. All right. So don't think that Google Slides is simply only for big presentations for students. It can be used for all sorts of options. And I do want to tell you, for your students with hearing impairments, with other issues, when you are presenting to them, there are areas for them to ask questions inside of it. There are areas where you can turn on closed captions in the middle of your session, and so that they'll be able to view that as you're presenting. So there are a whole host of added features built in. While I'm here in slides, I do want to show you one other thing that's going to be important for you as you're forging ahead when I show you something about add-ons and extensions later. This little button here that says add-ons also has a place where you can get more. So the way that I'm able to use Pear Deck and Nearpod and everything is because I've gone into get add-ons and just installed them. You can select whichever one it is, choose install. Now, there might be limitations if you're using a DOE computer. Just make sure you're logged in as admin and not as like teacher or student. If it is a central device, there's some other restrictions involved, so you can message me and I can walk you through that process. But that's a way that you can extend it, and I'll give you some suggested add-ons and extensions a little bit later for each of those, okay? In terms of creating a slide deck like this, it's simply a matter of searching the web and pulling in all different pictures of eyes. Usually I just search for PNG files. In case you're not familiar, PNG files have all the backgrounds and other stuff cut out. Now I'm going to jump into one other area of Google Forms. This is going to be your big assessment piece, all right? This will be oftentimes where you might just do your basic attendance each morning, and it can be where you'll do all sorts of other learning assessment pieces for your students too. So a simple attendance one, let me hop over to that. It might be, did you do your work? Did you show up? Whatever you want to ask, mark yourself here. I'm actually going to start one from scratch just so you can see how that works. Let's just start with a blank one. I come on in, I give this form a name, new attendance, although I highly recommend don't do new attendance every day. Just make one of these and allow them to link to it each day because it's automatically going to timestamp it, and I'll show you how that works. Are you working? It automatically gives me answers. Yes, no, maybe. I don't know what good maybe is. I'll go ahead and hit the X to get rid of that. Let me zoom in so you can see a little bit better. I can also add a question like, where was it? Oop, I'm choosing the date, today's date, just so that they have to mark that. But I'm not leaving a place for their name or anything like that. And there's a reason for that. Up here in the top right, there's a little gear looking doohickey that is basically your settings. And inside of there, I can make it automatically collect email addresses. And do I want kids to know that we got that information? Sure. Do I want only the students in my domain? For example, if you're using the citywide at nycstudents.net, at schools.nyc.gov, to be able to get into this. If I'm a new one each day, sure, limit it to one response. But if you're doing attendance, I say just make this one. Don't limit it to one response. Go ahead and save those settings. There you go. All this other stuff up here, I think you guys can get customizing the theme, making it pretty. We don't need to worry about that stuff right now. That's all just aesthetics. But there are two other pieces that are important, especially when you're making assessments like quizzes. So I'm going to start with a blank one, just so you see how it goes from scratch, but don't feel like you can't go ahead and use and copy and paste things from other places. So in this blank quiz, I'm going to say this is Tuesday test. My first question, we'll make it very, very simple. Identify the shape. All right. Maybe it's simply going to be circle, square, triangle. And maybe I don't want to go more than 3 options because that might confuse my student. So I go ahead and leave it at that. But maybe even this is too much for some of my students. Maybe they need visualizations. First off, if I'm saying identify the shape, identify what shape? Let's go find a picture. All I did was click this little picture looking button on the right of it. And give it a minute. And again, you can upload them, drag them up if you got it. But you know what? I didn't do any of that work in advance. I'm just going to search through Google. Let's find a good circle. Let's just use this basic one here. Insert it. It's way too big. Resize it and make it smaller. All right, let's go ahead, grab another circle. For this one, for the answer, because maybe my student can't read that word circle, but I still want to know if they understand the difference of their shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and put images for each of these in there. Let's find a picture of a square here. And this one I'm going to make the same color as the original circle just because I want to make sure that they're choosing it not based on color, but based on the actual shape. Triangle, sure, that one too, insert. All right, and that's a basic question for my students on identifying shape. Let's add one more question over here. This question is going to be not a multiple choice question, and there are lots of different types for you. I will even say there's a file upload where this can be a place where students submit their work. I will note that if you do file upload, it automatically adds a place. It automatically adds collecting email addresses for your students. It's required to upload a file because it has to link to their drive. But I want this one, I want this one to be a short answer question. We're going to simply ask, how do you pronounce, if I could spell, pronounce the capital of Kentucky? Is it pronounced Louisville? Louisville? Actually, it's pronounced Frankfurt. The capital is Frankfurt, but anyway. So under short answer, I can go over here to the answer key, just like I could on my previous one. But this is important. Actually, it's very important on my previous one too, because I got to mark which one is right and give any answer feedback I want. But here, I get to choose which answers are correct. This way, it will grade it for me automatically, and I don't even have to look through it. So maybe I'm going to say, oops, that's not a correct answer. Frankfurt is the answer. Maybe I'm even expecting allowing other spellings. Frankfurt. Downtown. Whatever answers I want to accept, I probably wouldn't accept that one. Mark all other answers as incorrect. Check your map. I can even link videos here or images here if they get it wrong to show them the right answer. But honestly, I think there's a better way to do that I'm going to show you in a moment to create remediated and differentiated forms. And here's how that's going to work. So that requires us to go ahead and use a feature called sections. All right. Sections is just splitting this up into sort of different pages. They're not answering every part at once. You've probably done this in forms before where the first section may simply ask you questions about your name and things. Later sections will ask you about actual data and information. So I'm not going to call this the wrong answer section, but I will call it the extra practice section. Now, to make this easy, actually, I'm going to go ahead and import questions. I'll show how I did that again. It's simply this arrow and rectangle looking one. I'm going to import a question from a previous quiz I had done from that one. And which question do I want? Let's go ahead and use this one. Does anybody know the Monty Hall problem? No, yes, no. The one that there's a prize behind 3 doors and they take away one of the doors, and should you switch, stay, or there's the same probability on either door now? Well, if you're not familiar with that problem, that's fine. Here's how that works. This has a correct answer. I can go in the answer key, mark which one is correct, say how many points I want this one worth. I'm going to say the actual better answer is to switch. That's correct. But if a student gets this wrong, I want to go ahead and explain to them what the correct answer is and why. So I'm going to click these 3 snowman looking buttons on the bottom right. There's options for shuffling question order, etc. Go to section based on answer is what I want. Now, what I'm doing is, if they get it right, they can go ahead and submit the form and they're all done. Or go on to a separate other section for correct responses. But if they get it wrong, I want them to go ahead and go to the extra practice section. And what is going to happen for them in the extra practice section is that I am simply going to have them answer that same question again. And as I zoom out, just so it's easier for me to see, drag that duplicated question over here to the extra practice section, like that. Or I got to drag it farther. There we go. We'll just do it this way. We'll create that section. I don't know why it's not dragging for me nicely, because I couldn't zoom out enough. And there. All right. Oop, let me admit this person in. So inside that section, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and import a question here and import it over again. From my sample math quiz, there we go. Let's get that Monty Hall question again. Import it. There you go. And delete this one. So in this other section, yep, I got that same question again. Maybe even if they get it wrong a second time, I want them to keep going to extra practice. But I'm also going to go ahead and add a video in here. And we're going to go ahead and type Monty Hall problem. This is actually a slightly more complex math problem if you haven't gotten to this with your students. And this explains why you should always switch doors when given the opportunity, because you have a 2/3 chance of getting the big prize by switching and only a 1/3 chance still through staying on the same door. If you don't understand that math, well, you would get it in this video. Here's what I'm going to do because I want to test what this quiz looks like. I'm going to hit this little eyeball up in the top right so I can preview it as a student. Let's go ahead and say I stay. I'm going to get that one wrong. Maybe I'll get this one wrong too. And then here I'm just going to say city. When I click next, because I got that one wrong, it took me to the problem again, where now I have this video available for me to learn about the Monty Hall problem. So that's a way you can use these quizzes to differentiate and find out your information. If and once students have filled them out, you will get tons and tons of data. I'm going to show you what one where people have filled it out looks like. So let's go ahead and find this one. You, as the creator of the quiz, will see all these different sorts of visualizations, information on the people, right? Automatically graphed out for you to visualize and inform you on what you need to do next with your class. If you need it to dig deeper, up in this top right area is this little green thing that looks like a spreadsheet. It will suddenly open that up in a spreadsheet for you, so you can access and move that data around in a spreadsheet format if you wanted, which is why I wasn't going to show you sheets very much, because this is probably where you want to start, and then you get to sheets with your data from there. One last little tool I'm going to show you is Jamboard, but before I get to that, I'm going to show you examples. I'm not going to show you how to make these, but just understand, because this is a whole day in and of itself, Google Sites. And there are lots of schools who are successfully using Google Sites to connect with their students across this time. For example, here's some Flipgrids that they've connected onto their site for all these different teachers, and students can go ahead and record things inside of there and connect with their teachers, connecting weekly assignments for students across their different populations. And Google Sites is pretty easy to use, the new version. It works pretty much like a document editor. So if you can edit documents, you can go ahead and edit Google Sites. I've linked places where you can dig deeper and find out more about that, if that's a method and place you want to go to with your students. But I do want to show you all about Jamboard, which is a shared whiteboard space. So while I connect to that on my computer, I'm also connecting to it on other devices here, like my iPad. We don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi, so students and I can collaborate on a board together simultaneously as long as we're both connected to a network, just like with any other Google document. So here's one. I'm going to draw on it from my iPad. I'm actually going to see how well I can draw a horse, okay? Let's see how good I am at drawing a horse. It'll be blue. So here's my horse. Oh, that's not a very good horse. Let's see if I can make it better. How about I make it a dragon? There it is. Now it's a dragon. The reason I can make it lovelier like that is because there's all sorts of different tools over here. Yes, I can throw whole documents inside of here, images, drawings. This pen gives me the capability of, yes, regular drawings, but it also gives me a method for creating those sort of icon drawings too. It's just an app that you can download that I've linked, and you can create several pages of information. Kids can draw expansively and get very, very creative and write. Here's a few ways, displaying student work, doing all sorts of other stuff. Built-in laser pointers while you're sharing and talking about it, little sticky notes that you can put in there. It is just a shared whiteboard space though, so you can collaborate easily with your students, they're collaborating and able to log in with their Google Drive account and easily connect with you and whatever type of things you're doing. All right. So that's one of the keys to Jamboard. I want to share with you a couple of other awesome tools to bring the most out of all of these. Yes, Translator and voice typing is built into Google Docs. So if you want to make it more accessible inside of Google Docs, there's also an area that is called, as this loads, Tools. This has our translation. It also has our voice typing. So I'm going to open up the voice typing. See, it's this little over here. I click to speak. Hello, everybody. This is how voice typing works. It should transcribe the things that I am saying. There you go. And that translator is built right in there. So if you want to translate into other languages for your multilingual learners, that's there too. You can dig very deep into hyperdocs and alt text to make your documents accessible. I know there are sessions specifically on those that we're doing later, and Central Inclusion Office is doing. Alt text is simply so your visually impaired learners can go ahead and know what those images are like. That voice, I will say, these things, it's not an add-on. It's just a tool inside of a regular Google document, so it exists there for everyone. These don't require add-ons, but there are tons of other add-ons available to give you even more features. I'm going to mention a few of those. So as for some of those add-ons, let's go ahead. I already told you about captions and slides and translation. Some add-ons like Clicker Docs, which actually is being offered free for now for your students who need visualizations and easy suggestions for text. Also, the Read and Write extension for Chrome is a great add-on that has a lot of picture symbols powered by BoardMaker, as well as other things to make reading and writing easier. Kaizena is a really nice one for documents. So if you have gone to a Google Classroom training and seen how you can add comments and things to documents, Kaizena is a method where you can go ahead and add audio comments to documents. So for your students who are not able to access your information through regular reading and need those audio work, Read and Write, like I showed you, picture symbols and built-in dictionaries and all sorts of other features for that. Screencastify is a nice one for doing screen recordings. If you're on a Mac, though, you can just go ahead and use QuickTime. And other than that, I do want to show you guys that there are lots of other places you can go inside that Pear Deck. Right now, it is taking you to that Google Levels course that shows you next steps, but that's all also linked in the agenda. And I'm going to link that agenda one more time here at the bottom and show that up on my screen again. So questions specific to Google Docs.